The other thing I noticed is that at the time, you know, spending a lot of time in Aceh, there's masjids everywhere. Every third street there's a mosque we can go to. But I noticed that mostly they're empty, you know, except when there's a large event, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, there may be a janazah, and then you see, you know, quite a large congregation. And I thought, well, you know, 100% of the people in Aceh are actually Muslims. You know, but where are they at Fajr time? There's always, you know, 3 or 4 people there, the same people. You go to the masjid every day, you see the same people, not even 3 or 4 different ones, but the same. And again, I was asking, you know, my wife, my closest companion, you know, where are the people? You know, if there's a hadith which tells us that the men, you know, if they pray in the masjid, you know, they get 25 in one hadith and 27 times the reward. You know, I was asking, what is the problem? You know, if somebody offered £10, you know, for a salat in somebody's house, and then it was 270 in the masjid, because it's something we can see and touch, the masjid would be full every single salat. But where are they? You know, and I've got this clear vision now that every salat I make, every reward, I know it's recorded, I know it's there. It's like an investment. You put in the investment in there, and it's stacking up as time goes past. And this investment is for my akhirat, the position I want to be in the akhirat, inshallah. So how come they're not there? How come the masjids are empty 85% of the time? In some masjids, 95% of the time they're empty. Some masjids, there's nobody reading the Quran. Some masjids, there's no teachings, there's no halaqah, there's no children, nothing. They're completely empty. I've been to many like this, and I feel a sadness. And because the masjid was obviously put there by the people in the area, but where are they now? Have they gone? Or have they given up? You know? And, you know, I urge every single brother out there that the place for praying is really in the masjid, in the congregation. This is where we become strong together. And the other hadith, whoever prays the Fajr Salat in congregation, in the masjid, they will gain the reward as if they prayed the whole night, or in one hadith, half of the night. Isha in congregation in the masjid, half of the night, we have the same reward as if we prayed half the night. We're only there for 15 minutes. That's all it takes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes even. And when people are living around the masjid, I know we can't hear the adhan here because of the technical difficulties of having a loudspeaker in a residential area. But everybody knows the masjid is here. And it's not, I'm not pointing fingers, don't get me wrong, in this town. Every town has the same condition. There's brothers 1 minute, 2 minute walk from there, but we don't find them in the masjid. You know, what are we doing? In other countries where you do hear the adhan is loud and clear, big speakers, and I'm sure you know. But there's people sitting in coffee shops, sipping their tea and coffee, not moving. You know, and I used to go in Aceh. I used to say, "Hey brother, adhan's going. Come on, let's go and wudu." Oh, you pray for me, brother. I will pray for you, brother, but you have to make your salat by yourself. You know? Yeah. And I noticed one thing again in Aceh. During Ramadan, Maghrib is the time we break our fast. I'm inside the masjid praying, and I can just hear this amazing noise outside. Hundreds and hundreds of cars and motorbikes still travelling, well into Maghrib. Maghrib is gone, it's time to break fast. All these cars moving, 100% of the people there are Muslims. You know, what are they doing? Didn't they stop to break the fast and make their salat? Are they not grateful for what Allah has bestowed upon them, that even in the month, the holy month of Ramadan, that they couldn't make the extra effort to stop what they're doing? You know? And the other thing which I really came to light when we came to England in 2003, at the time of martial law. I took my wife out for a meal somewhere, and I thought the obvious place to go, because I'd learned that a lot of the Indian restaurants were run by Muslims, and I thought, well, this is the place to go. And I went in, and I suddenly realised something that I'd never realised before. In my previous time, my years of Jahiliyyah, if you like, I used to drink a lot of alcohol, and used to go with friends to the pub, and then after the pub we used to go to an Indian restaurant, have a curry, And it was the one place you could actually carry on drinking beer and wine and spirits, whatever you wanted. And I didn't, something occurred to me that I never realised at that time that all of the people running the restaurant, I never realised they were actually Muslims. Not a single time did one of them ever come to me and say, you know, what you're doing, brother, you know, you could do better and tell me about Allah or something, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, if Islam is complete, and then, you know, it's quite a strict religion, but it's fair, and, you know, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not bestow upon any of us something that we can't do. How come they're doing this? How can they, you know, the hadith is clear, truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cursed khamr, and has cursed the one who produces it. The one for whom it is produced, the one who drinks it, the one who serves it, the one who carries it, the one for whom it is carried, the one who sells it, the one who earns from the sale of it, the one who buys it, and the one for whom it is bought. This is Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah, we find this hadith. How come, if it's amongst the al-qaba'ir, the most heinous of sins, some scholars say the 7, some say the 70, but even if it's only 7, it's in the 7, along with fornication, highway robbery, and other things. You know, how come, if it's so strong, how come it's still being done? So it brings me to ask the question, and you know, I've attended many courses in the UK, in the Markfield Institute of Islamic Studies, and I've attended some 10-day halakas in a masjid in Peterborough, and I've, you know, learned many things, and I have a long way to go. I only really feel like I've taken the first step, really, honestly. But the more I learn, the more I feel that maybe the Muslims aren't all doing what they should be doing. There's a lot of good effort out there. There's a lot of things being done, especially now, you know, there's lots of TV programs, and we love the TV, don't we? We can actually watch Islamic events on the television, speeches and so forth. This is very good. You know, I realised that this is only a small number of people that are active, you know, and we have serious problems with iman, we have serious problems with our akhlaq, and we have serious problems in practicing the deen of Islam properly, you know. And you know, the fact is that there's weaknesses, serious weaknesses amongst the ummah. One of the exercises we did when I was on the course in the Markfield Institute of Islamic Studies, the lecturer split us up into groups. There was about 30 of us, and he split us up into groups of 5 or 6. And he said, I want you to answer 3 questions. 1, what is the face of Islam in the West? Why is it like it, and who is responsible? Now, without any fluctuation at all of people's opinions, all of the groups came up with exactly the same answer. What is the face of Islam in the West? Well, it's looking pretty bad at the moment. There's lots of faults, lots of weaknesses, lots of shortcomings that need to be addressed. Who is responsible? Why is it like this? You know, and we talked about lack of education, or the correct education, lack of understanding, lack of motivation, lack of ibadah, lack of everything. You know, and who was responsible for it? Well, the Muslims themselves are responsible for it. Most of our problems are caused by ourselves. You know, and please don't let me offend you, but I think this needs to be discussed. I'm not one who talks with wisdom all the time, but I can tell you what I feel I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong. There's a lot of statistics flying out there, as well as, you know, the things which have been prominent in the press, you know, in the last few years, which we don't need to discuss too much. But one thing popped up in front of me, and I'm quite surprised actually. I just want to talk about a prison at the moment. I discovered, partly because it was mentioned on one of the courses, that in 1999 there was a total prison population of around 64,000 in the UK. 4,300 of those were Muslims, which makes 6.7%. And, you know, there's 2.7% of the population of the United Kingdom who are Muslims. So we're talking, you know, sort of over twice the amount by percentage of the population of the United Kingdom. You know, 2.5% of two and a half times that are actually in the prison. But what is even more alarming is that the statistics in 2009 show that there's now 9,952 Muslims in prison out of a total of 83, which is now 12% of the population of prison. The population of the prisons are Muslims. That's a 230% increase over a period of 10 years. Something is wrong. What's going wrong? You know? And, you know, we have to look at this. So what I did was I thought, well, you know, maybe in the last few years there's quite a lot of attention paid to terrorism, the Terrorism Act, and there's a lot of cases where people have been arrested under suspicion. Whether there's something come out of it or not, it's not for me to comment on. But I looked at the list of crimes. Terrorism's not even mentioned. Crime number 1, violence against another person. Crime number 2, sex offences, paedophilia, pornography, and all these other ills of society that you would think, you know, you would find amongst people who have no deen. Number 3, drugs. So it's violence, sex offences and drugs. This is the main reason why we're in prison. You know, what is going on? And, you know, there's quite a large proportion of those people who are in prisons in the area where there's large populations of Muslims. So I don't know what the issue is, I don't know. But we need to find out now, because this is the face of Islam in the West. This is what the non-Muslims are looking at. And another thing, there was a report not so long ago, last week in fact, where there was some men, they were actually caught committing child sex crimes, and they said that, you know, well, women in our culture, they're not available to us, so we have to resort to this. You know, not for me to comment again, but something needs to be looked at. We need to deal with it. We need to take care of this. And there's all kinds of other things. There was a very nice program on 5 Live Radio, which I listened to because there's no music or anything like this, stating that, you know, they've counted or estimated that there's approximately 100,000 reverts in the United Kingdom, and they were trying to find out why, and they were asking people to ring in to say why they thought that this was the case. And one of the people who phoned in was Lauren Booth, who, if you don't know her, she is actually Tony Blair's sister-in-law. She's a journalist and human rights activist. And she, mashallah, she gave such a beautiful few sentences on, you know, how she felt now she was a Muslim. She felt that her status as a woman was elevated, which is contrary to some people's opinions. She felt that, you know, she felt safe now. She felt she'd got a real goal, you know, in life. She felt complete, you know. And a man rang in and was really trying to have a go at her, and he's saying, you know, well, you know, if you're feeling like this, how come this, this, and this? And he was giving all these examples of things we see in the press. You know, we know what they are. They're everywhere. But unfortunately, in the same program, a revert rang in, and he said, and these are not my words, he said, if I'd met the Muslims before he accepted Islam, he would not have accepted Islam. You know, he read some theory, some Quran, he read some Surah, he learned like that. And personally, I met a customer of mine actually in Swansea, who's a Hindu brother, and very nice family. I was doing the removal for them, moving the contents of their house to their new house, and all the time I was talking to him, and he said, you know, this beard, he said, you look like a Muslim. I said, thank you very much, I am a Muslim, and it was the opening door for me to just talk a little bit to him, because I'm a bit nervous, a bit shy towards people, but, you know, sometimes, you know, when I make the effort, it goes the right way. And he said, I spent a long time in Saudi Arabia, and he said, I worked and lived amongst Muslims. He said, I've read the Quran in my own language. He said, I'm very interested in Islam.